Hello, my name is Lauren Sullivan, and my presentation will be over the Minority Report by Philip K. Dick. Okay. So in this presentation, I will be discussing important background information about the text, my overall interpretation of the text, specific language, the text form or category, thematic concerns, and then lastly, my argument over the text. So to begin, the Minority Report, which was written by Philip K. Dick, follows the main characters John Anderton, Ed Whitwer, and General Kaplan. And in this futuristic society, crimes can be predicted before they happen using the flawed pre-crime system along with the precogs. So the paradox of this story allows the reader to wonder, if you knew what the future held, would you try and change it? So unfortunately for the protagonist, John, when he finds out that his future consisted of murdering General Kaplan, he is faced with the realization that whether he kills him or not, the system is broken regardless. So I interpreted this story to have a much deeper meaning than a flawed and broken system that robs people of their future. So rather than stopping crimes from potentially happening in an ethical manner, citizens are arrested without knowing what was going to happen, which is not fair. Political conflicts like the pre-crime system versus military forces creates a warning against utilitarianism. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Governance, since humans are treated as if they have no rights. A quote from Anderton is, "We are taking in individuals who have broken no law," and that's Dick 10. This quote solidifies my interpretation that utilitarianism governance is a trap because the common good is prioritized over the future well-being of the people. So while I'm not completely sure what the text language means, I will dive into specific literary devices and vocabulary used that helps convey the overall themes and meaning of the story. So to begin, irony can be seen when John is the one who created the pre-crime system, but he becomes the victim of it by the end of the story. And this is seen on page 13 when he states, line 1, an already accused future murderer, pre-crime commissioner John A. Anderton was going to kill a man and within the next week. So, even though John created the system, it still went against him in the end. And then for vocabulary, words such as precog idiots or deformed and retarded from Dick 11 are used to describe the precogs in a hateful manner, and it shows that the government does not see them as human beings and that they are being exploited and used for no good. As for the text form, it is classified as a short story or novelette, and at the very start of the text, there is no slow start. Instead, the story picks up right away, and the background of each character that is introduced is also brief because the plot is more important than getting to know each character. So the two main themes commonly seen in this story are fatalism versus free will. as well as dystopian control / political corruption. So, in the first theme, fatalism essentially means that your future is predetermined, and free will means that you have the choice to change that approach. So, in the text, the precogs are able to see what crimes someone will commit, but with John knowing his outcome, he uses free will to alter his initial choice, regardless of the final decision to protect the system from being a failure. In the second theme, the entire government is extremely flawed and corrupt due to them controlling the population in a negative way. Rather than letting the truth come out about the pre-crime system, John commits the murder so that the reputation stays intact. So lastly, my argument is that John knew he would eventually commit a crime, but because of the government's control, he had no choice but to carry it out, even though he had free will and he could change his trajectory. So while nobody forced John to do anything to General Kaplan, he still had to give in to protect the system that he created. And the government might have physical control when they send people away for their future crimes, but in John's case, it was purely psychological. And that was the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.